Hello, everyone. My name's Nishad, and I am here to talk to you about low-code and no-code application development. So just quickly, a little bit about me. In my day job, I work with data scientists at a company that makes surgical robots, and I've been playing with and reading about low-code and no-code platforms for the last 6 months or so, and yeah, I'd like to share with you what I've learned. So I'm going to give you a short introduction about these platforms and then go into a live demo to show you what it means to develop a low-code app. And then finally, I'll take some questions at the end. So the main narrative for low-code app development is that people with minimal or no technical expertise can develop apps using these platforms. So these citizen developers need to develop apps themselves because programmers are in high demand. And then the low-code industry has identified that there are some app archetypes and building blocks that can be assembled with a graphical interface to build a whole range of moderately complex apps. And then if you look at a few of these platforms, they'll have templates or examples, which include things like room bookings, customer relationship management, CRM, and jobs boards. And here I've shown some screenshots from Bubble.io, Airtable, and Microsoft Power Apps. And there are loads of others. So low-code as a concept is also increasingly popular for integration, but I'm not talking about that today. So just to clarify, by integration, I'm talking about things like automatically moving email attachments to Dropbox and getting a Slack notification whenever you get an email, or automatically subscribing new PayPal customers to a mailing list. If you folks are interested, I'm sure, as Kimberly mentioned, the team can kind of put together another lunch and learn about those as well. But yeah, not the focus of today. You might be thinking, why is this dude talking about no-code apps at codebar? Well, there is more to software development than just writing code. The professionals in the audience will know that a lot of time is spent on figuring out what your clients want in terms of functionality and user experience, making sure that you test all of your logic, deploy your app in a reliable environment, and store your users' data securely. So it's worth taking a step back and considering why you want to code. So some of you want to build apps, solutions, businesses. However, it's difficult to know what to build and how to build it. And in my opinion, the best way to find out is to iterate your ideas and your designs. Low-code platforms will let you iterate fast. And because they're usually cloud-based, they will let you scale quickly. Others are here to learn just enough to work with software developers. And by using low-code platforms, you will still learn about data types and logic, and you might find that you can communicate your ideas with other developers more easily. So before I start the live demo, I'd like to introduce the task at hand. So this is a hypothetical process, but I'm sure it's quite common in organizations that don't make software as their main product. So as I said before, my company manufactures robots, so I'll use these as my motivating example. This is not how we actually make and test our robots, by the way. It's just a made-up example. So let's say we have a handful of manual tests that every robot goes through once it's manufactured. Technicians run the tests and write down their results in a printed template form, by hand. And then in order to speed up the analysis of trends and variations and faults, we need this data in digital form, and we want to put together a simple data collection app. And then while we're doing this, we also want to prevent data entry errors. So things like typing letters into a number field. We want to capture multiple results for a test that needs to be repeated a few times. And we want to link all of this to photos uploaded from the kind of visual inspection phase. So live demo time, let me just stop sharing this and share my browser. There we go. I hope you can all see that. So this is the kind of Bubble dashboard. So Bubble is the platform that I'm going to use for my demo today. And the way it's going to work is I've got a kind of blank canvas app where I'm going to just put together one or two inputs and a workflow to kind of show you the overview of what it is to develop an app. And then I'm going to switch over to a more complete app so that you don't have to just watch me clicking the same buttons over and over again. So this is the blank app. This is the kind of canvas screen that you get. I've set it to 640 by 480, and just to show you that the workflows are empty. There is no kind of data in this app. It is a blank canvas. The only thing is a kind of built-in users data type, which we're just going to ignore. So we want to capture some data from testing, so we need input forms. Let's start with a simple text box. Let's say we want to measure the grip force from the robot clamp, and we know that it's going to be a number, and in fact, it's going to be a decimal. So this will already kind of, just by doing that, we prevent users from entering characters into this text box. You might notice that there's also ways to set a range and kind of different ways of displaying the numbers that are entered, but we're not going to worry about that just now. So the other thing that we want in our app is a way to upload photos, and that's very similar to the text box. We just kind of drop it into our canvas. You can see that Bubble provides these nice kind of alignment, snappy lines so that your app is laid out in a sensible manner. And then lastly, we want to, once the user has added data to this form, we want them to click a button to save it to our database. So let's just call that a save button. And that's pretty much it in terms of designing your user interface. So, if you just want to use this kind of platform for, prototyping your app design and maybe mock up some different screens in your workflow, then, this is potentially all that you need to do. We are going to, however, add a workflow as well. So we're going to, make something happen when this button is clicked. So we go into this button, start workflow. Now on this screen, this is where the kind of logic is defined, and it's kind of described in a kind of close to English format, rather than using a kind of specific programming language. So when the button save is clicked, you can see a little preview to know which button you're talking about. What do we want to do? Well, we want to save the data to our database. So we click to add an action, data. We want to create a new thing. So thing is the kind of word that Bubble uses to kind of refer to data types within the platform. We don't have any data types at the moment, so we create a new type. It's a bit odd perhaps to create new data types within the workflow screen, but I suppose it is convenient. So we want to create a test result. What is a test result? Well, we need to add some fields to this data type. So let's create a new field, grip force, which is something that we're capturing in that input form as a number. And this should just read the value of the input grip force text box. And then very similarly, we want to also add a photo to our database, type image, and read this from the picture uploader value. And then that's pretty much it in terms of storing data to our database. But in order to prevent people from accidentally entering the same data twice, we can go into element actions and reset inputs. So this is our workflow. When the button save is clicked, we create a new test result and reset relevant inputs. So at this point, we can go into preview. And we can, oh, hello, what's happened here? There's some alignment issues. We can go and look at that. So as far as I'm aware, Bubble doesn't provide any way of compiling your app into a binary that you can then upload to an app store for distribution. But it kind of does the next best thing, which is this kind of responsive design screen, which lets you visualize your app on kind of different screen layouts to see, how your user interface elements are going to fall on the page. So something like on a tablet, it looks like this. What we probably want to do is set it to fixed width, maybe left aligned, and then the same fixed width and left aligned on the picture uploader, and then this is right aligned, so that when we then switch to different devices, it's kind of looking a lot more sensible. Let's try that again. You can see that it's kind of redone the preview pretty instantly. And I can now enter some data. So maybe 1.2 here, save that. You can see that it's reset the input. This is, I'm typing, ASDF. It's not letting me enter those characters. So that data validation seems to be working. Let's try another number, and then I can also upload an image and save that. And then just to show you what that's actually done, I can jump to the kind of data screen, and then under app data, I can look at all of my test results. And you can see those are the 2 test results that we've just entered, including the one with the photo. So at this stage, I'm going to jump across to the other app, which has a few more things. You can tell that I'm not a front-end developer because I don't think I'm going to get any compliments for this layout. So there's 3 sections here. Right at the bottom is where you enter new test stations. So imagine you're on a manufacturing line. There's going to be one place where you test your robots. There's going to be several. And then as a technician, you want to select which one you're located at. You want to enter your robot serial number so that you have a full kind of trace of all of the testing that you've done. And then down here, I've got 2 test results and a checkbox, and then as before, an upload image, and then a box to show you what you've just uploaded. So some new things that I've got on here, on this checkbox, I've got a conditional. So we don't want to sell robots that are passing the Turing test. So when this checkbox is checked, the font goes red. So a technician will be kind of twice as careful. So it's just a visual cue to make sure that they've checked that correctly. And then on the repeat test button, we don't want people to click the button when there is no data in this form. So I have set this button to be disabled when the test station value is empty or the robot serial number hasn't been entered, and so on and so forth. So if we now go and preview this, you can see that there's no test stations yet. Let's go and create some, maybe test station A, test station B, and then you can see that these are immediately appearing in the drop-down, which is quite useful. So the serial number again has to be a number. It's not going to let me enter any alphabets. Let's say it's 1121. And then, as before, we can enter numbers in here. This thing goes red when it's checked. And then repeat test will kind of increment this little counter, reset just these inputs, and then in the next grid test, we can enter different values, upload an image again, which is nicely showing up in our preview, and repeat test as often as we want. And then when you can see that this is disabled when there's no data filled into these two text boxes, and then the kind of new test button kind of resets everything so that the next robot that you're testing can be considered. And then, yeah, just to show you what that's done, jump back to the data screen, app data. There's 2 test stations, and then on the test results, we're capturing the same robot serial number twice, and the same test station. We've got the incremented kind of test counter and the 2 test results, and one includes the photo. And that's pretty much it. I will jump back now to my slides. Give me a sec. Oh, I see there's something in the chat. Yeah, drop them in the chat. Where's my screen? Okay, I hope you can all see my slides again. Yeah, so that was just something that I put together in an hour or so, plus a few weekends doing tutorials to understand the platform. So I hope that I've demonstrated that with low-code platforms, developers can put together a half-decent app prototype really fast. And that means that they can use it to show their users what's possible. They can clarify what their users need and get faster and better feedback on things like user experience. So I'm going to try and pre-answer some of the questions that you may have, and then I'll take your actual questions. So first, how do you pick a low-code platform from the dozens that are out there? Well, it's the same as any other technology. Find one with an active, welcoming community. Look for forums, look for platforms that engage their users on their mailing list. You might want to look for specific features. Like if you want to create a mobile app, you might want to pick a platform that facilitates that, building your app into a binary that you can then upload to an app store. Or you can use something that you already have access to, like maybe your organization has Microsoft Office 365 or something, and through that you may have access to Power Apps. And then secondly, what does the future hold? Well, I think that as these platforms become more popular, best practices will emerge. I'm not sure that those are kind of clearly identified yet. People will also kind of need to figure out how to test and validate their apps so that they can be used in highly regulated industries. And I don't think software developers are going to become obsolete. But I do hope that they can focus on kind of business-specific tasks instead of, just learning another framework to put together a graphical user interface. And lastly, I hope that at your next codebar workshop, you will teach or learn not to code. And with that, I thank you for your time